So I did print these notes knowing that we would have a short class to kind of help us speed things along. A circle is just all the points that are a fixed distance from a fixed point. So your center is your HK, and then every point that is a certain distance R away from that creates a circle. R is what we call the radius. Okay, so we have a center and we have a radius. We use those to write the equation. We can see the equation of a circle in two different forms. The first one is our standard form or center radius form of a circle, and that's the one that's more common. So in this, your center, like it said on that last slide, is that order pair HK, and your radius is your R. Okay, so it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So the equation of a circle has both an x and a y in it. Both of them are being squared in a circle. The general form is if you were to multiply all of that out and combine like terms. So that would require writing your x minus h twice and FOILing. Same thing with your y minus k, setting it equal to 0. So we start with center radius. If we choose to multiply it all out, we get to that general form. So first thing I want to do is just practice, do we know how to write an equation? Can we draw a graph if I give you the center and radius? So we'll start basic and then get into a little more with it. So if I said you had a circle with a radius of 5 and a center -3, 6, and I want the center radius form. So I'm looking, that's x minus, what is my h? So minus -3 would make so x plus 3 squared plus y minus k. What's our k? 6 squared equals r squared, so 5 squared, or you could go ahead and make that a 25. Is anybody confused if I go ahead and write 25 right here? All right, so you guys tell me what the equation would be on part B. Equals? Okay. If we want to graph it, the graphing calculator is not super friendly because when you go to plot something on there, it has to be y equals. So if you were going to try to graph it on the graphing calculator, you would have to solve for y, which would involve adding a square root, and when you add a square root, you have to have a plus and a minus. So you would actually have to break it into two different equations and graph both of those. But these are really easy to graph by hand. We can just start with our center, so we put our dot there, and then my radius is 3, so I could go 3 above, below, left, and right, and kind of draw a sketch. So let's practice just drawing a rough sketch of one of these. If I were to do it by hand, so if I have x plus 3 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 16. If I'm going to graph this, I need to know the center and the radius. What is our center? -3, +2, because remember the formula has a minus. So when you see +3, that was the same as minus -3. What is the radius? 4. So you put a dot at -3, 2. There's my center. So a circle is everything that is 4 units from that point. So if I think 4 above, 4 below, 4 left, and right. And I'm not much of an artist on here, but hopefully. We can kind of see our circle there. you want to graph it, you have to find the center and the radius, and then go from there. Is that one okay? One more of these. What's wrong with this equation? Yeah, coefficient. And the formula doesn't have a coefficient. What could I do to everything? Yeah, if I divide everything by 2, I get x minus 3 squared plus y squared equals 4. So what's our center? 3, 0, since there's nothing with the y. What about our radius? So you would start at 3, 0. Bless you. Into every direction. Hopefully you get a nice print. Depending on your scale and all that. Okay, so if you're going to find it, we have to add center and radius and then go from there. Any questions with drawing these graphs? A nice football shaped circle here. I'm going to look at your center and count your radius when I'm finding these. Okay, I'm going to skip this one from now. I want to go to this slide. So I want to decide if this is a circle, a single point, or non-existent. If it's a circle, we have to have a center and a radius, right? To do this, we have to basically undo all that multiplication. So you get the general form by taking that center radius and multiplying it all out. That means we have to undo the multiplication. We have to factor it back. We're going to do that by completing the square twice. So I am going to put my x's together. And I'm just going to leave a little space in that parenthesis. And I'm going to put my y's together. Leave a little space in that parenthesis. And I'm going to go ahead and move my 33 to the other side, since it's a constant. Now, completing the square, we did this with our quadratics. We said you take the middle coefficient, which was 10, divide it by 2, and square it. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. So I'm going to add 25. Now, if I add it to one side, I have to keep my equation balanced, so we also add it to the other side. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing with my y's. So your coefficient of y was negative 4. Divide that by 2 and square it. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So if I add 4 to one side, add it to the other. All right, x squared plus 10x plus 25. What does that factor into? X plus 5 squared. Y squared minus 4y plus 4. 1 minus 2 squared. Over here, negative 33 plus 25 plus 4. Okay. So if this is a circle, I should now be able to pick out my center and my radius. Could you tell me the center? Negative 5, 2. What about my radius? 2i. Can we have an imaginary radius? So what does that mean? Non-existent. And the reason it's non-existent is that after I completed the square, we had a negative over here. If you have any positive number, then it's a circle, even if it were a 13. If that were a 13, what would the radius be? So that's the radius squared, right? So if r squared equals 13, what's your radius? Square root of 13. It's okay if your radius has a radical in it, but it just can't have an I. We're talking about one. Alright, let's try this one. Okay. Do you know the same thing about my x squared and my y squared? When we complete the square, we need our square terms to have a coefficient of 1. So I'm going to first divide everything by 2. Okay. So then I will put my x's together. Put my y's together. And I already have the 1/2 on the other side by itself. So middle term, -3 divided by 2, that doesn't reduce. When I square it, that would become -3 squared is 9, 2 squared is 4. And if you add it to one side, we add it to the other as well. Okay, we do the same thing with this one. So 5 divided by 2 squared. So 5 squared is 25, 2 squared is 4. So what's the first one factor into? X minus 3/2 squared. The next one is y plus 5/2 squared. Okay, over there, what would that be? This turns out to be 9. So you can see that last slide has a problem. It won't be due tomorrow. Jake, you hear me? Alright, so is this one going to be a circle? Yes. What's the center? 3/2, -5/2. What's our radius? 3. Alright. Are we doing okay with these? You want to try at least one more? I've got a couple more on here, but let's do one more together and then see how we're doing. Okay. Do I have to divide first on this one? No. I can just start out putting my x's together. Put my y's together. And I do need to subtract over my 10. Alright, then what? Complete the square. So -6 divided by 2 squared. So if I add it to one side, we add it to the other. Okay? 2 divided by 2 squared. So what's the first one factor into? Okay, the next one. Equals 0. Okay. Does this exist? Yes. Is it a circle? No. It's saying your center is 3, -1 with a radius of 0. So this is just a single point. So if you get a positive on the right-hand side, that's a circle. If you get a negative, it doesn't exist. If you get 0, it's just a single point. All right. So I know that we didn't have much class today. I put the homework on here. It is 5 through 29, every other odd. So not that many problems. 5, you skip 7, you do 9. It will be due, let's say Thursday, since we didn't have much class time. I won't collect it tomorrow, but I am going to start the next section tomorrow. So you don't just get the whole day to work on it, but I'll give you a little buffer to get that done since we didn't have much class. So you guys have time to start it now, and tomorrow